What's good, party people? This is According to Woods, and I have the honor and privilege of talking to. We've kind of enhanced the budget here at According to Woods because live from Denmark, she is a Muay Thai athlete based in Denmark, but travels back and forth between Thailand and Denmark. She's the one and only Eva Schultz. Eva, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you, Adam. And how are you doing?
Good, good. I'm honored and uh, really honored that you would do this, especially kind of international testing out international waters.
Mm,
I am in LA. You are in Denmark, and so it's kind of
yes,
cool that especially right now here in the U.S., everybody's like, "Oh, the internet is bring and social media are making people angry and all that jazz." But this
yeah,
is
yeah,
a good example of the opposite, like us doing good with
yeah,
kind of social media and connecting with each other.
yes. Absolutely amazing, and I'm very thrilled to get this opportunity to talk to you and talk about the Muay Thai life and yeah, how I got into this and what's going on here in Denmark and of course also in Thailand.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I guess, let's address the elephant in the room, right? So here in
Mm,
California, we're kind of talking off air that, you know, things may not return in terms of like local fights and what
mm,
have you,
mm.
probably until maybe next year, all right?
Yes.
So what is the state of
Mm,
everything there in your home country? Like, what does
mm,
it look like?
mm.
Just general life, and then in terms of training, like what
Yeah.
does that look like?
Yeah. Well, when the COVID came to our country, everybody was like freaking out, and everything closed down. The same you see all around the world. Many people got scared. They kind of panicked about it. But eventually, you find out how to make things work. And regarding the training situation, I think it has been very impressive to see how people have been very creative about finding new ways to do training. Some people they fall off, and just like, whoa, we can party, we can drink and smoke and just have a nice time. But some people stay tuned and say, oh, now I have the opportunity to focus on all the details. I have opportunity to make myself better and better and better, waiting for the country to open up again. But as it is in this moment, we have everything is unpredictable. We don't know what's going to happen. They try to arrange sparring where we can come from different gyms. They try to arrange some fight nights, but then they had to cancel. And the young people, they kind of lose the motivation. So, yeah, but old dogs in the game like me, we keep on going with the training day in, day out, day in, day out. So, yeah.
I don't think anybody at this point would kind of confuse you with an old dog because they probably would eat some knees for that very statement. So
Mm, yeah, yeah, yeah,
I'm just
yeah.
saying that like a mean clinch or of something of that sort. Now Jesse Velasquez says, according to Woods, going international, and yes, that's what we're doing here today. And we'd like to thank the both of us. Would like to thank Gary Brown from Combat News.
Mm,
For setting this all up.
yes, yes.
Well, not him. This very podcast wouldn't be possible.
No, I'm very happy about this. I've been Gary has been a good friend of mine for some time now, and we've been writing on and off. And how are you? And Merry Christmas, Happy Birthday, how's training? And then he asked me one day, can I post some of your stuff on the Combat News? And I said, of course you can post it. And he posts a lot of exciting things, and I really like his page. And then he said to me, oh, maybe, how would you say about making a podcast with Adam Woods? And I say, oh, that would be amazing. So a big thank you to Gary for making this come through.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you,
Yeah.
good sir. Now, and Jesse also asked, are the gyms still closed in Denmark? Like no fights
Hmm.
or no gyms? So, in terms of how the country has responded, like,
Hmm.
is it more like secretive, because that's one thing that has
Hmm.
happened here where people are
Yeah.
training in
Yeah.
parks, and not too far from where I am in Pasadena, California, where they have the Rose
Yeah.
Parade.
Yeah.
One of I actually the gym that Jesse trains at and I used
Yeah.
to train at called Fight Academy. Um, they were doing classes like Muay Thai kind of striking classes, socially distanced in a
Yeah.
big park
Yeah.
in California, and essentially the cops got called at like 6 in the morning
Wow.
of
Wow.
all of them training and whatever, and everybody was
Yeah.
socially distanced. It's not, and it's funny because like I think here just locally, it looks like striking sports like boxing, even bare knuckle, Muay Thai will probably
Yeah.
come back first because those are things that you can train socially distanced through Zoom or what have you. But jujitsu and judo and
Yeah.
sambo have
Yeah.
really regressed because that's something that you cannot train on the bag, and you
Mm.
need somebody, and we can't safely train
No.
with somebody at close quarters.
No. Yeah, well, in Denmark, the gyms have been closed down, and first people stopped training because we didn't know what was going on with all this COVID-19. So people kind of taking it easy, and but as we gained more knowledge about the disease, then people started training, but they were doing training outside. They tried to do just 2-on-2, and I've been riding together with some of the other trainers and fighters. They asked me, what you going to do, what you think, and how can we do this without getting in clinch with the police and the law. So we tried to make it work, like do 1-on-1, and then the government said, okay, now you can be like 10 people together, but you have to be outside. So we were training outside, trying to do the best we could, bring the pads and just kind of see all the possibilities. Instead of looking at what we cannot do, we tried to look at what can we do. We have this restriction, so what can we do to make training work, and can we make it safe? So I took some of my students and said, yeah, let's go outside. I have this big place, grass, we can go training, and we make whatever we can do. And people seemed to be quite happy about it because everybody missed training, and you started to see that people, they were getting like bad moods, and some people get depressed because it's also an issue about the mental health.
Yeah.
Because training do make you feel more happy because you produce all these endorphins, and it's just nice to do sports. So I wanted to keep it going with my students, and it worked. And some of the other gyms started doing the same. But at this moment, the gyms have opened again. They started out with making some restriction about, can you wear the mats? No, you cannot wear the mats because they absorb the sweat. So you have to do it without the mats. So we kind of adjusted to every situation. So every time the government said, now you can do this, now you can do this. So we just adjusted. The gyms are up and going, but now we have the situation that the numbers of new people getting sick, they are really, really high. We have like 760. I know it's not much according to your country, but here 760 in 24 hours. That's huge. So we don't know if it's going to close down again. So yeah, basically we have no idea what's going to happen. So
Yeah, and that's kind of the thing, kind of figuring out what everyone's doing, and we're kind of even more so than before. The world has seen all bit smaller, right? Because
yes,
we're kind of like, oh, what are you guys doing over there? What are you
yeah,
guys doing in the UK? What are you guys doing
yeah,
in
mm,
Alabama, different parts of your own country, and then even abroad to see,
mm, mm,
what people are doing, how people are adjusting, and kind of learning
mm,
from each other. So it's so funny where at a time that it can seem like the social climate can be like very argumentative, but
yes,
we're all kind of coming together and trying to figure this out because I mean, in retrospect, I heard a statistic like
mm,
in
mm,
human, I guess in human life, like a pandemic like this happens every
yes,
100 years, right? And
yes,
ours, the last one we had, it was about 100 years ago, right? And
yes,
there are fewer, and even though people are living longer, you mentioned mental health, and as it relates to combat sports, people are
mm,
living longer and longer, but few and far between can we talk to somebody that was there and knew everything. Because I mean, if somebody was
mm,
100 years
mm,
old, if you had somebody in
Yeah,
town
yeah.
or in your family or whatever, if they're 100 years old now,
Mm.
they were a child during the pandemic and they probably don't remember anything. You
Yeah,
know?
exactly. So we are, bottom line, we are just on point zero, no matter what.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. But again, you're talking about how passionate that you and your team and your
Mm,
students
mm.
are, but I have to
Yeah.
ask, like, how did you get involved in the wild and crazy world of Muay Thai?
Well, it started 10 years ago, and I had some personal challenges that I was under stress for long period, like 10 years, and it was kind of extreme stressful. So in the end, my body started to kind of shutting down on me. And I was like, whoa, I'm supposed to do something now, because every time somebody is moving or I hear a noise, whoop, my body do like this, and I cannot handle it. So because I'm educated psychologist and I've been working like clinical psychologist and for 11 years, and I have always been very interested in how does we work inside our brain? How does the brain work that we share with the animals? And then we have this higher consciousness. We think, we speak, we can be logical, and we can solve problems. But when it comes to the body, you cannot think the answer. So I decided that if the body can freeze down, we have the fight, flight, and freeze responses. So if the body can freeze down, then there must be a way to make it defreeze, so I can get back to normal again. So I said, oh, okay, maybe I should start with fight sport, because then I have to use my fight and I have to send signals in my fight brain. So I started up and I was like, whoa, this is just what I've been looking for. So I kind of fell in love. And during the years, it kind of solved itself easy, I come back to myself. So the fight sport helped me a lot. And it's still, I'm still in love with the sport. It really is like I'm in love with it. And I think about it, I dream about it, I get happy about it. So I don't want to live my life without it. And I want to pass it on to my students and the ones I'm teaching in Denmark and also in Thailand. So it's really become a big part of me as a person. So, yeah.
I love it. Now, in terms of, I mean, had you seen like Muay Thai on TV? Did you go to a live fight? Like, or maybe you
Mm,
just saw a
mm,
sign or a billboard
mm.
for, a gym to get in shape?
Yeah, yeah.
Like what was it for you that kind of started you on the journey, specifically in Muay Thai?
Well, I didn't know anything about the sport. I didn't know there was something called Muay Thai. I didn't know what it was. And I basically just went down to the local fitness, and they had a guy who was teaching some fitness kickboxing. And when I throw the first punch, I kick the first kick, it was like my body turned so happy. And I go home and I was like, wow, I cannot even sleep because the endorphins is just running around all over. I have to do more. I have to do more. So I got into some research about what can I do. And then I wanted to start the Muay Thai. We had one gym at that time in my town. So I went down there and I knocked at the door. They let me in. Then I say, hi, I want to be Danish champion. And they look like this, the elevator. Boop, boop. Okay, you can come to training first. But I never left. And they beat the hell out of me. I was black and blue. I come back every day and they were like, this girl, she is crazy. She come back every day and we beat the shit out of her. Okay,
Yeah.
she can go fighting.
and it seems so contradictory, and especially you in this psychology kind of
Yes,
fields, right?
yes,
It sounds contradictory. You're getting
yes.
the shit beat out of you, but you literally cannot live without it, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it's funny, there's like those memes, right? Those little funny kind of pictures and what have you,
Yes.
of people in Muay Thai. Like, it's like an older person, and then you're like, well, in Muay Thai or in Jiu-Jitsu, they're only like 25, because you're busted and whatever. But like your life condition, like your inner self is just like, I need this more. And it's not like, you're never like, I kind of like Jiu-Jitsu, I kind of like Muay Thai or whatever. It becomes a part of you. You start hanging out with the people in the gym. You start wearing clothing. Like something's Muay Thai, something's Thai singing, something's Brazilian, everybody's that. And it's just like, it kind of, like involves every fiber of your being.
It does. And it brings you, I've been very amazed, and I'm still amazed about the journey that you go through. Now, I've been doing this for 10 years now, and I have seen how, of course, I develop my skills, and I'm very stubborn. So when I want to do something, I don't do 50%. I do it or I don't do it. So I go 100%. And I've been very amazed about the whole journey, because you develop yourself with your skills, but also the personal thing, you grow as a person. And when I look back and how I understood the sport in the start and how I understand it now, it has gone to a way deeper level in understanding. So it's kind of life-changing. And I think that's a part with all martial arts, that it's very life-changing for people who stick to it, who keep doing it for years. They don't give up because it's hard. They keep going. And then I think you get a reward with your skills, but also with your personal development. I think it's amazing.
100%. And Jesse says you got to grind, and
yes.
Absolutely. And it's awesome that you got to show them what you got, and there's no half-assing. It's all the way in or not at all, right?
Yes. I totally agree with that one, because I have had many young people, they come to me and they say, oh, I want to fight. I think, oh, it's so tough, wow, I want to do this. And I say, yes, I can make you fight, but you need to get yourself into it, and you have to do it 100%. And when I tell you, when you come training, I say, you go to the treadmill. I want you to run 30 minutes before, then you come training with me. If I sneak up and I see you not running on the treadmill, hell is coming down on you. Because you have to show, you have to work. It's not just going to come in your door. You have to work for it. And some young people don't understand it. Some do. So just grind. You have to do it every day. Also, if you think, oh, I'm so tired. Oh, I don't want to run today. Oh, it's also raining. Oh, it's a bit cold. Get out running. You have to look at what you want to achieve. Not what you want tomorrow or what you want right now, but what you want to achieve in like 1 year from now. I think that's important to have that view.
No, 100%, and the community that kind of, we get involved in, it's crucial, especially like in times like this where we can't be, together physically at fights, in the gym training, and it's very crucial, which Gary Brown says,
hey,
welcome
Gary.
to the both of us, two friends on opposite sides of the world talking about combat sports. And yes, and again, thank you, Gary, for connecting us. But
thank you so much, Gary.
Absolutely. There's a good ghost in there for him somewhere, right?
Yes.
And then Shaman Steve says tremendous wisdom that you're expounding. So thank you, Shaman Steve.
Thank you.
So
thanks a lot.
I mean, in terms of you finding this new life, right, in Muay Thai, in training, and I mean, you literally said, I want to be a women's champion. Like, you made your intentions known. Like, you made no bones to pick, like no doubt about it, no doubt in their mind, right? Which I think it's awesome, because the picture that you sent me was with a women's world title. So I think it's awesome. But how long did it take from your first initial training to your first fight?
Well, it took me 4 months. 4 months of training. It's not much, but I think it's because I was so determined on doing this, and even if there were no team training, I went to the gym, still doing my thing, still kicking, still punching, still trying to do better and better. So it was only 4 months I had my first fight, and I remember it as it was yesterday. I was like, all the way over there in the car, I was like, whoa, I have to do meditation. Woo-sa. I have to meditate, to keep myself calm, because I was so scared that I produced so much adrenaline that I would freeze. So I have to do my meditation to keep it all calm. No problem. But it was amazing to get in the ring. I didn't really know how I was going to approach this, because I cannot say, okay, I want to do 1-2 kick, then I want to do 1-2 knee. No. When you come in the ring, you don't know what's going to happen, but you just have to rely on your body has memorized all the things you've been working on. And when I was finished with the fight, 1 week I was high. I said, wow, this must be how it is to be on coke or something. I don't do coke, but I was so high because it was so amazing. I said, I want to fight again. I was so happy. And still I have this, I want to go in the ring. I want to fight. I love fighting. It's amazing.
No, I don't think it's crazy. I mean, it may be crazy to, folks on the outside world, right?
Yes,
that aren't involved, but anybody that has competed or even, going to the gym, right? I remember there were times when I was consistently training and, like somebody would cut me off in the road and I'd be like, oh, whatever, right? Like, maybe there would be a F-bomb that floated out of my mouth, whatever, maybe a middle finger exchange, whatever. And then going out of training and either heading home or heading to work after, the same scenario where somebody cuts me off and I'm like, I don't give a damn, because literally I went and sparred, in hell, literally, like, an hour of 6-minute rounds of sparring, people trying to, dislodge your head from your neck, or, in the world of jiu-jitsu, to separate your limbs from your body unceremoniously. So the person cutting me off, I'm like, oh, to get to the light, what, 30 seconds before me? Go ahead. I don't care.
Yeah. Oh, I know that feeling. I know. I never wanted to miss a class. I was like so eager to come, and if something kind of if I had to get late on work, I was like, I cannot get late. You have to go now. I don't have more time. I need to go training. So I just want to go. It was so important for me to go. And I was like, when I fall asleep in the night, and then sometimes you do this quick movement when you're just about to fall asleep, and I was kicking. So when I fall asleep, I wake up by kicking.
But again, it's something that kind of, involves every bit of your being once you're there, and Gary says, you have some of the best striking techniques I've ever seen. If you're learning Muay Thai and you're near her, you should be learning from her. Like, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Ava's the way to go, And Shaman Steve says, liberating experience for you. So much passion. Awesome. And Shaman Steve, who's here in LA, much like myself, he actually runs with a former amateur champion, Pius Inolobo, who he's from Nigeria, but immigrated here. But I mean, he has seen kind of what a fighter goes through pre and post their career. So he's got some insight. So he knows exactly what you're talking about.
Yes, I think so.
Says, it's a hell of a drug.
Oh yeah, it's a hell of a drug, and it's like I want more. You have that feeling all the time. You finish a fight, then it's I want to go straight back to the gym. Okay, my shin bones, they are sore. I just with my hands and my knees, I can still do training. I don't have to take 14 days off. I just keep going because I want more.
No, 100%. And again, it's something that it definitely encompasses everything about you. Like you almost don't remember who you were before you started training, and I think, it's funny, right? Because a lot of people think of the martial arts and they think about the fighting, but not so
Yes.
much the art, right? You're
Yes.
talking about, your first fight, right? And in Muay Thai, for those who don't know, it's not just the fight, right? I mean, it would
No.
be hellacious just as, the clinches, the knees, the elbows, and what have you, just getting expounded. But like, you have to do a white crew before, like a whole
Yes.
dance and ceremony before, and
Yes.
like, you don't want to screw that up. You don't want to disrespect the
No.
ghosts. There might be ghosts. You're essentially praying to the ghosts for, to kind of capture your victory, right? And making sure
Yes.
that you come away, with good health, as well as the good health of your opponent. But still, it's
Yes.
unnerving, right?
Yes. I think not as much anymore. I think it's because when I prepare for fighting, I know that every day I don't do any shortcuts with anything. Never. It doesn't happen. So I know the last week before fight, I'm like, okay, now I know I've done everything I could. And sometimes you meet someone who is at a greater level than you are, or more skilled. That's the way the fight goes. So I never think much. I have never thought about, oh, what if I break my nose or break a leg? It doesn't cross my mind. So when I go in the ring, I'm kind of, what do you call it? I'm kind of like Zen. I'm just like, it's just like I have peace inside. So it's a state of mind that is very special to be in, and it's also, it's addictive. It's something you want to have more. So doing the Vi crew I love doing the Vi crew because I like to put passion in my Vi crew. Not many people in Denmark are doing the Vi crew, and I think it's a shame because it's also about keeping the traditions for the traditional Muay Thai. I know that's another topic, but it's a shame that people don't do it. People don't do the Vi crew too much, and I like to do it because I want to honor the Thai people who let us come in and get to know the sport, because many years ago, they didn't want to teach foreigners. They didn't want to give it. So then they open up and they start to give it to us. And today we just take it as, of course. But I think we owe the people to be thankful. And we owe the people that we do the Vi crew, that we don't go to put too much European style into it. You see too much in Denmark. It's not the traditional, beautiful art of Muay Thai. You don't see it like that. You see it like, it's some Muay Thai because you have elbows, knee clinch, but it's mixed up so it looks like kickboxing. They're swimming, and when they're clinching, they just run each other down. And I don't like that style. So that's why I mostly like fighting in Thailand for that reason.
No, and I think that I think you bring a very important part, and especially when you go into something that is something so nationalistic, right? Like Muay Thai or Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu from Brazil, or Japanese Jiu-Jitsu, or catch wrestling from the UK, right? So
exactly.
Those things are so ingrained to the culture of the people, right? Like you should want to do that, right? You should want to get every bit of it, because you are learning their culture, and you are learning about yourself through that culture, through the eyes and the minds of that, right? And you're letting it form, right? And it's fine if you want to evolve, right? I mean, here in America, the rise of bare knuckle boxing has
exactly.
It's gone up, right?
It
But it's
goes
something
like this
different, right? Exactly. But it's something different than boxing, even though they're kind of, the lineage are kind of similar, right? Same with MMA, like they draw from the same orientation. But I mean, if you're doing like Muay Thai, you should keep it traditional. And then if you want to, kind of expound or even close off some of the things that happen, well, you can do that. Absolutely. Just don't call it Muay Thai, because it isn't. It's
I agree.
It's a hybrid. It's an offspring, and we should treat it as such.
And I agree on that one. And I think basically maybe the problem, as I see it in Denmark, I cannot say how it is in the other countries, but there is no, they don't demand for the teachers to be educated. So some people, maybe they have 10 fights, 15, 20, I don't know. But then they say, okay, I'm Muay Thai, I can teach, but not all people are good teachers, So I think it kind of take the level down, the level out of the traditional Muay Thai. And I can see when I get students coming from another gym, or they have been doing something else, then they come and it's like they want to go fast. Bah, 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 bah. I say, no. And they want to jump around. I say, no. You have to stand 1, 2, 1, 2. And then everything you do, even your jab, you throw a damn hard punch. You don't just chat. You throw a punch with your jab. Everything you do hard technique, and you stand in front of your opponent. So you have to take so many bad habits out of people, because I say, you come to me, it's traditional. I only do the traditional way in everything I do, because I honor the Thai people for giving me this. It's a big gift, and I appreciate it a lot.
Absolutely. And Shaman Steve says, you feel free, right? When you're in the ring, when you're training in the gym, it's just like, it's a freedom that you can't kind of compare to anything else, And Jesse says, you got to give respect to the people before you. Always respect the OGs, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Well, it's kind of funny, right? Because I mean, you yourself a trainer, right? And at least from what I've heard from other trainers, right, where you're kind of in a rough spot, right? Because yes, you want to keep the traditions alive, but then also you want people to come to the gym, right? Like, and if you did traditional Muay Thai, and I mean, right down the road from me is the Yard Muay Thai with Joe Schilling, right? That is as close to, like, I mean, at least what I've never been to Thailand, but that is as close with the people here in the U.S., when they pay, $50 to $100 a month for training, they want nice, for it to smell like eucalyptus, and like everybody can wear their like cute shorts and all that jazz. When you're paying like $200 a month to get, liver kicked, like, it's not so fun, right?
Yeah, I know that would not be fun, but I think then you have to make some kind of then you have to split it. So you have to say, you can come to this Muay Thai fitness. That would be fine. So we mix it up with CrossFit. We mix it up with high intensity. You kick and you punch, but you don't have to do it correctly. You just work, that would be fine. But if you want to do traditional Muay Thai, then it's a total different tone we're singing. It's different. So you can do the fitness part. I do it for some women who wants to get in shape. They want to lose weight, and I say it's fabulous way to lose weight, because it's so intense working. So I mix it up with some CrossFit, so they also get tightened up a little bit. So they like it a lot. But then I also, the ones who really want to do the Muay Thai, they come in another class.
Yeah, and for those who are looking to lose weight or getting a fit body, I mean, you can do like all the abs you want to, but have start doing crunches and sit-ups while somebody's whacking you with a Thai pad. Oh, watch, whether you want it or not, those abs are going to appear.
Yes, they are going to appear. But that I have this side, that I'm psychologist also, So I also work on gaining the trust from people. I want people to trust me and have faith in the work that I'm doing for them. So I always meet the person where they are. I never cross the lines, because I want to see people grow. I don't take people in my gym and then I have to break it down so I can build you up. I think it's bullshit. So I take people and say, this is where you are. Okay, I will teach you the skills. So if you want people to learn, even if it's fitness or it's traditional Muay Thai, you have to meet people where they are. And then you have to give them just the amount of frustration that makes them work the next, You don't go beat crap out of people who don't know what to do. You only scare them and they don't want to come back. They say, this shit is not for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a shame. So
I agree. And thank you for doing that, because again, some of folks, and I'm not, accusing anybody, but you kind of, there's different approaches. So that's the catch 22 of having people, of all walks of life kind of enter your kind of sacred space, your sacred sanctum, that like everybody wants to do it, whatever. And, most people are like, oh, well, Coach Eva says I have to go, run 30 minutes or whatever. But what I'm going to do is strap on one of those belts that kind of engage your, those ab belts and whatever. I might get the 3rd-degree burn and whatever, but at least the sensation is going and whatever. And then I'll run. And at least it looks like I'm doing the thing, right? Everybody's got a different approach, right? But I think it's awesome that you're meeting people halfway. And I mean, your reaction kind of makes me wonder, you probably know exactly the person who I'm talking about, right?
Oh, I know that. And the funny part is that I don't know how they try to cheat, because listen, I take them on the pads. They're going to do like a 4-minute round. And 1 minute I say, when did you go running? Every day. I say, no, you never run. So who do they think they're fooling? You can put your thing on your abs, it looks nice and you can look pretty on the beach. But what the hell, when you go in the ring and you get punched in 30 seconds, you're done.
Oh, here in the US, it's even gotten worse, where, I mean, there's especially with the advent of social media and what have you, where like people are actually getting, butt and ab implants. They're sticking foreign things in their body just to look like they have whatever. But then, if there are people that you have kind of gone the other way, where like they don't, or even like the airbrushing, right? Somebody like they go to the beach, they have somebody come with like water resistant paint and airbrush abs onto it's weird.
Wow.
So weird.
Wow, the world is getting too crazy for me.
But I mean, if you're doing that amount of work, you might as well do it in the gym. I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't know.
There's so many benefits going to the gym. Imagining you have to sit on the beach, airbrushed with abs, and you're still a bit fluffy. You have to hold your breath. That's going to be more tough than going to the gym.
No, 100%, 100%. Now, in terms of like, your first fight, right? I mean, what did you learn about yourself through it? I mean, obviously, you kind of knew, right from the initial impression that this was going to be a constant part of your life, probably from this moment on. But like actually getting to fight, I mean, what was that all like?
Well, I think it was kind of like a brand new world open up to me. And I really got a big awareness on this thing we do about problem solving, about this thing we do about we want to think everything ahead so we can prepare ourselves for the unpredictable. When you go in a ring for fighting, nothing is predictable. So what I learned from my first fight was, one, it didn't hurt. And two, I learned to trust myself. I learned to trust that when I go in there, I don't have to try to predict the outcome. I just have to be present. And then I have to let go of my control in the mind and just trust that my body can do the work on the level it has been taught. So trusting myself has been one of the things that I really needed to regain, because I had some doubts going on in my life about myself. So this was a big, huge step for me to find out that I can actually trust that my body is going to work for me. I don't have to predict whatever is going to happen. So it kind of get influenced during the years on everything in my life, because I never tried to predict what's going to happen tomorrow or what's going to happen tonight, or I just kind of live in the present, because I know that I will always be ready no matter what's going to happen around me. I cannot change that, but how I respond to it, that's what I can work with. So basically, I go inside and work with me out in the world instead of trying to control everything in the world. So that was a huge, huge thing for me to learn.
No, and that's awesome. But I mean, if you really want to get a true aspect of like the human condition and your place in it, it's just kind of figuring things out and putting yourself in difficult situations. I mean, there's a reason why, a piece of coal under pressure becomes a diamond, right? I
Yes.
think that's a perfect euphemism for life,
Yes.
because without that pressure, we'd still be coal.
Exactly. And I think many people can learn something from that. It's a very good picture with the diamond and the coal, because I see a lot of people also through my profession. I see a lot of people who kind of get sick because they constantly worry, and they worry about things that they cannot change and they cannot control it and they cannot do anything about it, or they try to predict, and then they always make like this bad things is going to happen, and at the end of the day, what you're thinking, that's only processes going on in your mind. It's not going to be reality because you think it, but you keep scaring yourself. Woo, you get scared. Then you try to think more. So when life gets tough, you have to find the confidence in yourself that when you stand in a problem, then you will find out how to solve it. You don't have to try to do it in advance. Just do it when you stand in the problem. So we need to meet hard things in life, and we don't have to be scared about the hard things. So it's the same fight with the fighting. You don't have to be scared for entering the ring. You don't have to be scared about that. You cannot predict anything anyway. If you get punched in your face, that you will get punched in your face. But why worry about things you don't know? You don't know what's going to happen anyway. So.
Yeah, I agreed. And I think especially right now, right, where everybody's kind of inside. They don't know, their financial, their work life, even their relationship.
Yes.
Literally, it's almost like a deck of cards, and you just throw it up, and it's all over all the place, right? But
yes, exactly.
in times like this, and this is even me myself had to go like, okay, well, everything is happening around me, right?
Yes,
but
yes.
How can I get to a point where I can optimize myself to, regardless of who wins an election, how people feel, how whatever, that I am going to rise above, right? And how can I encourage others to do the same? Because like that's, to do something that is unforshakable, right? Like happiness, right? Like a life condition, right? When you get to that place of like just kind of optimal kind of being, right? And and it's a constant. You're never quite there, right? But just the pursuit of something, or even just a pursuit of something that you love, right? I always tell people, if it's a time allotment that's keeping you away from doing what you want.
Yes.
Out of your day, whatever. Give yourself 5 minutes and devote it to whatever it is, that you want to do, right? If it's a monetary allotment, well, out of every paycheck, give yourself $5, right? And that's it, and by doing those actions, you're kind of, the way that you will, your entire body, the way that you respond to the rest of the world, by at least a small way, pursuing what it is that you feel is to be your truth, your life, like your relationships with people will be better. Your, like crazy work life, it starts to kind of level out, and even if it's not the people around you, it's the way that you respond to everything, and I think that's why, especially here, you're seeing with like, the UFC and, different things that combat sports out of all of the professional sports, whether it be football, soccer, like whatever. Martial arts, to a large extent, was the first thing back, because again, it's that what can we do, with the world around us, and where can we fit? And now the world is actually learning from the world of combat sports.
Yes, it is indeed. And like the way I handle it was like when the COVID came and they say, oh, we're closing down the gyms. The first thing I did was to put a heavy bag on my balcony, So I had a long balcony and I could put the bag, so everything could work with the kicks, boom, everything worked. But my neighbors were like, what you doing? What you doing? So even the old people in the street, when they came out of the shells again, they came and say, oh, you're the girl boxing. I heard about you. So I kind of make things work. And then I out of the car tires, I built a heavy bag and put it down in the parking lot, and people come by, wow, this looks nice. And can I come train with you? And, so you have to see possibilities in everything you do and not let yourself drag down. People were really like, oh, I cannot train. Oh, I get so depressed. And I'm like, why can you not train? Why don't you be creative and find a way to make things work for you? You can do a lot of things. You can even build your own bag. If you just get some tires, you just go to a mechanic and say, hey, can I get some old tires from you? Build it, do something. So I kind of not listen too much to people because it was really like, oh, I'm so depressed. Oh, I cannot train. And oh, wake up, wake up.
No, 100%. And I mean, it's that indelible spirit that, not letting things get you down, where Gary Brown says, you can do everything you want to do. Like you literally can do it all,
Yeah. Yes.
And
yes.
Jesse himself is a IFS MMA champion here in California. He says, big facts, the real people always find a way.
Yes, absolutely. The people who they're different kind of people. They are the ones who I just want to get fit. They're the ones who want to build an image about being cool. They're the ones who want to be really cool and, oh, I want to go fighting. I want to be champion, all that stuff. And then there are the real people. They are the ones who keep going when lives get tough. They are the ones who find ways to do it, just like he said, we find a way. We want to train because it comes from the heart. You have a heart for this. You have a passion. You make it work. So
absolutely. And the people that make excuses, they sound like a bunch of weenies.
Yeah, they do.
There you go.
Yeah. That it couldn't have been said better than that, But I tried to be discreet.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Jesse's not one to mince words. He's like, yeah, he's fun. But speaking of fun, right? I mean, obviously, it was a great honor and experience to train, Muay Thai in your home country of Denmark. But you split your time between, your home country and what I think is the motherland in terms of Muay Thai.
Yes.
It's essentially Thailand. So what was that first trip like?
Oh, the first trip was like going to paradise, not wanting to go home. When I come home, all I can think about is going back to Thailand. How can I save money? I want to go back, It was a mixed experience because when I first came there, I had to adjust to the heat. So the first 14 days, I was like, I had a bad stomach. I say it in a nice way.
Yeah.
It was not the food, but it was because of the heat, and I dehydrated all the time. So, but I still keep training. I train 2 times a day. I run in the morning. I run in the evening. I didn't care. I was just like, I just have to get over this. I just have to get over it. Then everything will be fine. But when I did pads, I had to, after the round, run out to the bathroom, take a cold shower, go back to the ring again, do pads again. And I did that all the time because it was so hot. I was like, whoa, what is going on? But when you get adjusted to it, I love it. So going back for me is, it's not tough. And usually before I leave now, I use 14 days, I training in sweatsuit. Everything I do is in sweatsuit. So when I get down there, I use 14 days to get prepared, and then I can go fighting. So now I'm used to it. So so now it's different, but it was great experience.
Now I gotta ask. I mean, what was the thing that I guess it's a two-part question. Where I mean, what did you kind of have in your mind what it was going to be like, and then what was the thing that was most different from what you thought, and then what is the biggest thing that you learned about yourself through? I mean, going there. You know, whether your skill set or just your mentality.
Yeah, well, it was. Regarding the mentality, I think I learned a lot about myself and how my perception of myself was, because I had this lack of confidence, and I had trainers who was like picking at me. You know, they never said when anything was good. They only picked at me every time thing was bad, you know, really picked at me. And it didn't build me up. It didn't build my confidence about the skills or about my abilities to do fighting. So when I come down there, the teaching methods were a lot different, and the teachers, they were smiling, they were nice, and everything was kind of like, when Thai people training, they are happy people, you know. It's not like oh, you show aggression. It's not like that when you come to Thailand. They're happy people, you know. And they are like, oh, sabai. And when you work, then you work, but we're still smiling. We're still having fun. Sparring is not allowed. It's not about, I beat you up because I can and I'm the champion. It's about, I want to see you learn, but we still have fun sparring. So it kind of built my confidence, and it also made me aware of what I missed in my own country regarding training. And I didn't like the aggressive style that some gyms were having, you know, like we're tough guys, and we really, if we can break a foot training, then we have really trained good. And I'm like, no, that's stupidity, you know. Thai people would never have this approach to it. So I learned a lot about trusting myself and have the confidence in I can do this. And when I had my first fight in Thailand, I actually met a girl who they didn't tell me who she was, but she had 250 fights, and she was a double VBC world champion also in boxing, I think it was. So I was teamed up with her for my first pro fight, and I never been fighting without shins or anything. So it was like, okay, I just take it how it comes, you know. And the thing about it, when you fight in Thailand, is that they bet money. I know I changed the subject, but it's kind of in the story, you know. So they bet money in the fighting, and she was the local champion, you know. So everybody bet money for her. They bet money, big money for her. But I actually won the fight, and I did a really, really, really good fight. And she fight really Thai style, and it's just for me, you know, like it's my way of doing it, you know. But she won the fight. The judge came to me after, and he said to me, you did a beautiful fight, you did win, but because otherwise the people who bet money, they get angry. So, but it didn't matter, because I knew I did a good fight. It wasn't about winning, it was about going in there, and it was about me feeling that I could make things work that I practiced. So that was a big win for me. Every time I fight and I know I go in the ring and I make things work, then I win. So it doesn't matter my hand don't go up, because I still win. So because I learn. So that's the beauty about fighting.
That's it. And again, it's something that seems so contrary to people on the outside, right? You said the beauty in fighting, because most people see the blood and the guts and all that stuff. And yes, that does exist. That is absolutely, I'm not going to mash my words like Jesse. That is something that happens. But the cool thing about it is, it doesn't matter, right? Whether you compete in jiu-jitsu, Muay Thai, boxing, you know, MMA, whatever, right? The thing about it is, we all train on a canvas, right?
Yes.
And the I mean, whether you go to Rembrandt and Picasso and Van Gogh, what
Yeah,
did they paint on? What was the surface they painted on?
yeah, the canvas.
Yes. So every
Yeah,
fight, just to bring up your point in terms of beauty and fighting, right?
yeah, yes.
What you see in every fight, whether you're at home, in the arena, what have you,
Mm,
you are seeing these two people, right?
yes,
With
yes,
everything that they come with, every life experience,
yes,
every training experience before this fight, and
yes.
you are getting to see them paint a masterpiece before your very eyes.
Exactly, exactly. And I think it there has to go a big respect to the people fighting, because it's not just what people see. They see you go in the ring, they see you make the fight. There's a winner, there's a loser. We see the blood, the sweat, we see everything, but they don't know all the work, all the dedication, all the things you have to do to get there. They don't see that. They only see what's going on in the ring. But it is actually very beautiful, because if you kind of grow yourself on more than the physical level, if you also grow in your personality and spiritual and in every way, then you will see the bigger purpose about fighting. It's not always about getting the belt. Of course, we want to get the belts, but it's also about the inner achievement that you get, because you do get something when every time you go fighting, you win something, and you always measure yourself. You measure, okay, this one worked really good for me. Okay, what's my signature? Oh yeah, it's the elbows. That really works for me, and so you grow and you take things into your heart, and from there it starts to blossom again. So you work and work. So I think that's why it's beautiful. That's beautiful, because every growth in people is beautiful, and this makes you grow really much.
Absolutely. Now, to bring it full circle, right?
Yes,
Because when
yes,
you first entered the gym, right,
yes,
you made the decree to the coaches there that I want to be a female world champion, right? And it's something that you were able to achieve, right?
yes, yes.
So, in terms of not just yourself, but also, I mean, did you go back to those coaches if you weren't already training there and go
Mm,
like, "Hey, you remember what I said?"
yes,
There's that.
yeah.
Or and then also, I mean, what did you learn about yourself in terms of, especially being a professional in the psychology field? What did
Mm,
you learn about yourself by making the that kind of lofty goal and then
yeah.
accomplishing it?
I learned about myself that I don't need people to tell me I'm good. I don't need people to. I don't need their, what you call it, acknowledgement. I don't. I literally. I don't care what people think. Before it was like, I want to be good, and I want people to say I'm good, so I can feel I'm good. Now I feel I'm good. I don't need people to tell me. And I many girls are so much better than me. There are so many good fighters, and I respect them so much. But I never felt like I had to go back to them and say, see what I achieved. Because I'm the kind of type that prefer the silence. And if people don't kind of want me to succeed, then no matter how many belts I'm going to wave in front of them, they're not going to be happy for me. So I don't care. All I care about is that I still keep on growing in my game, and that I have this daily happiness from training, and I have small things where I succeed every day. Now I get stronger in this, and teaching my students, of course, is also something that makes me very happy. But I never felt like I needed to go back to people, because if they didn't want me in the first place, they sure don't want me now. And that's the way it especially is in Denmark also, that if you achieve something that if you have something other people cannot achieve, then they envy you. So this is what you see a lot in our country. And that's why it's a very split community in Denmark. It's not like we work together. No, we work against each other. That's more the kind of way they do it here. So that's why I never mingle too much with the gyms in Denmark. And I, of course, I'm not pointing any specific out, but it's just there is a tradition that every time somebody succeeds, you don't have to say congratulations. That was just luck. So, yeah. So I don't need to do that. I trust myself. I trust what I do, and yeah.
I think it's perfect, and especially at a time like this, where things are kind of up in the air and people are judgmental of different things and what have you. I think that's an important kind of mindset and life condition to be in, right? But obviously you didn't get there alone, right? So I'd like to have you take some acknowledgments and people that have helped you along the way to get where you are, and take as long as you need, because it's been just in Muay Thai, a 10-year journey. So go ahead.
Yes. Well, the first gym I started, I had a specific, a guy, Magnus. Magnus, he was very, very nice person, and he had been training a lot in Thailand. So I could feel he was different from the other ones. So I kind of go a little bit to see if I could go his way, and I would like to thank him because he was a big inspiration for me. And he was actually the guy who kind of made me feel that how the real Muay Thai is. So I've been jumping a little around with teachers, and some teachers were like, "Oh, I can actually bring you the world if you want, blah blah blah." But at the end of the day, they had an agenda, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's also the part about being a woman in this sport. I think sometimes you need to see the agendas behind. So I met that a couple of times. So there's not many I want to thank in my country, actually, but I want to thank the Thai people, because I met some teachers who really believed in me and who really want to learn. They want to give me technique, and they also wanted to give me what they call, you have IQ. They call it IQ, and that's when you know how to fight smart. That's not something they all give, Some of the teachers in Thailand, they don't give it that to foreign people. They say, okay, you punch, you kick, whoa, you're good, But the last one, who is actually my husband today in Thailand, he taught me what it means. How do you fight smart? How do you fight with IQ, And that's easy fighting. So you can fight a lot because you just have to use the IQ, but they don't want to teach the Falang people. So I am pretty lucky he gave that to me. So I want to thank P. Jude, my teacher in Thailand. I want to thank him a lot. I also want to thank Kru Manap, who's been teaching Sanchai. I have been training at Yokkao for a short period, and it was amazing to be trained by a legend, and I respect him so much, and he's the most nicest person. So that was a great experience for me. But for now, it's my husband Jude who teach me. He's been teaching a lot of champions at Lumpini. He's been teaching Bangkok. A lot of big fighters he's been teaching. So I'm very honored that he wants to spend his time teaching me. And then it's just been my self-discipline.
Yeah, and that's what I was saying about the humility of the Thai people, how humble they are, because they know Sanchai, one of the greatest of all time, and he happens to be a homegrown Thai. I mean, people compared like Michael Jordan and whatever to basketball and whatever. I don't think there's any question. Sanchai is probably the greatest of all time. That's without question, right? So that's where the humility comes. At least where I think it's just like, you might think you're a good coach, you think you're a good fighter, and here's Sanchai lurking in, and like there he is.
Yes. It was amazing to meet him, and I was like, I was like a small girl, like, ooh, where's Sanchai? But but I made him sign a pair of shorts and a little sparring and stuff. And I was like so happy. And he's the most humble person you can meet, you know, and that fascinates me so much about them, you know, that they are so humble and they're so nice people. They're down to earth, and they, even though you're just a small girl coming from Denmark, a small country, they don't know where it is, but still, they just want to be nice to you and talk to you, and it was really amazing. It was amazing to be there. Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Now, Jesse says that's an awesome mindset to have. Wish everybody had that great mindset for success, which I have to ask. For those who haven't already followed you on social media, where can they find more about you, the gym, and what you're doing?
They would have to find it on Facebook. I have my athlete page, Eva Schultz Muay Thai. And then I have for my gym, I have gym in Denmark, and my husband and I have also, we start the gym, building the gym here in Thailand in next year when I come, hopefully. So we have, it's called Kanpet Muay Thai in Denmark, and then we have Kanpet Muay Thai, which is in Thailand. And the name Kanpet comes from my husband, and that was his fight name that he was given by Pinyo Gym in Koh Samui, where he was fighting a couple of years. So to honor him, I named the gym Kanpet, because I think I owe that to him and to the Thai people. I think respect is such an important thing in this world in general, that you respect people around you, but also people that teach you something. They give passion, they give their heart to what they teach you. So I think it's to stay humble, show respect. So that's why I named the gym. But you can find it on Facebook, and you can find it also on Instagram. You can find it. That's the only social media that we're using for now, because I'm not that good at the social media. Don't tell anyone.
Don't tell anyone. No, and Shaman says, great show as always. Thank you, Shaman, for saying that. But it's more due to the guest, Eva Schultz. I started off the show by saying it's an honor and privilege to have you here, and it absolutely is true. And man, I can't wait to see what happens with the rest of your career, the career of your students. And let's do an open invite. Anytime you want to come back on, anytime any of your students want to come back, or teammates, send them my way.
Thank you. It would be a great honor for us and for me too. And I have really, really enjoyed this interview and also the opportunity. And I thank you very much. And I also want to thank Gary one more time. And it has been amazing to be live here with you. I have really, really enjoyed it.
Well, thank you. And the professor, Charles Wilton, also says, hey guys, great show. Thank you, Charles. And thank you, everyone, for joining us here. But I have been According to Woods. I still probably will be According to Woods after this. But but she is Eva Schultz. And thank you guys for watching us. We bid you adieu.
Thanks.
This is Zeta Zhang. Make sure you subscribe to According to Woods YouTube.